It is 6 p.m. The April 14th, 2025 session of the City of Eau Claire Plan Commission is called to order. If you plan to speak tonight, please complete a public hearing contact form located on the back table and give it to one of our planners at the front table. I ask that everyone turn your cell phones off or to a silent mode. I will call the attendance roll for tonight. Commissioner Davis.
Here.
Commissioner Erickson.
Here.
Commissioner Felton is absent. Commissioner Holzman.
Here.
Commissioner Leonard.
Here.
Commissioner Worthman is absent. Commissioner Wolfgram is absent. Commissioner Zoig.
Here.
And Commissioner Helgeson, the chair, is here. We do have a quorum with 6 members present. I will read our standard introductory statement for how we conduct business at our meetings. During tonight's meeting, Plan Commission members will be participating in person to deliberate and take action on the agenda items before us. The Plan Commission attempts to conduct its public hearings in a relatively informal manner within the constraint that we must deal with the issues before us in an orderly and businesslike fashion. We give the applicant an opportunity to speak first, and then others are each permitted to speak either for or against the proposal. We do request that everyone restrict their comments to the issues before us, avoid unnecessary repetition, and be prudent in the use of time. We want to be sure that we have adequate time to deal as carefully with the last items on the agenda as with the first. If you wish to view, not comment at tonight's meeting, it can be viewed through the live event link on the city's homepage under Public Notices and Meetings. This meeting is being recorded at the same location. We will move on to agenda item 3, which is the open public comment period for those items that do not appear on tonight's agenda as a public hearing or any other comments not related to an agenda item. Items number 5 and number 6 are noted as public hearings and have specific comment periods included during the discussion of those items. Items 14 and 15 will be a discussion amongst commissioners only. Item 4 are consent agenda, and items number 7 through item 13 are open for public comment at this time. Is there anyone here besides the applicants wishing to give public comment on items number 4 or number 7 through 13 or any other issues not related to tonight's agenda? Please come forward. Please state your name and address, spell your last name, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Yep, no problem. Pat Smith, 4738 Rich Court, Eau Claire. And I didn't catch the last thing on that, sir. Spell the last name, Smith?
Yes.
S-M-I-T-H.
Okay, thank you, sir.
All righty, I'll make this brief. Good evening, and thanks for allowing me to speak in the public comment section tonight. I'm Pat Smith, the Government Affairs Chair for the Chippewa Valley Home Builders Association. We're here tonight to provide you with some additional clarification on some of the items discussed at the last ZPAC meeting. We have a handout that has more details and information that may be helpful as we talk tonight, and I'll hand that out when I'm done. We appreciate the hard work that everyone involved in creating the new zoning code. There's been some great additions to the code that will improve development process and help reduce housing costs, such as smaller lot size, reduce setbacks, revised zoning districts, which allow for more housing types, and more administrative approvals and adjustments. However, with all these great additions to the code, the Chippewa Valley Home Builders is concerned about a number of proposed additions to the zoning code that have a negative impact on housing affordability. We understand that some additional regulations are needed, but every small additional expense can have a big impact. For example, the National Association of Home Builders has developed a priced out estimator for 2025. This tool takes in the medium income of the area. The results for Eau Claire area show that for every $1,000 increase in the price of a home, that 31 households can no longer afford a home, which is a pretty significant number. This shows how such small impact increases can have on overall housing affordability in our community. So something as simple as a new landscaping regulation that is estimated to add approximately $5,000 to the cost of an average single home would result in 155 households not being able to afford that home. Overall government regulations add on average $88,500 to the cost of a new home built in the Midwest. This number includes additional costs due to building codes, along with other federal, state, and local regulations. And we are concerned that some of the proposed zoning code changes will make that number much higher in Eau Claire. We have a few other speakers tonight that will touch on some of the specifics we want to address, and we want to let you know that we are available for questions to discuss and answer on these items as well. Again, there are a lot of good items in the new code, but there are a few items that could have negative impacts on building in the Eau Claire for many generations to come. Thank you for your time. And I'll just give you
Questions for Mr. Smith? Oh, yes, please pass those out. Thank you. Thank you.
I don't know if you want a couple extras or any of the other.
Sure. Okay, sure. Yeah, make sure they put the extras here.
I'll leave you the extras.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Smith? Did you say there'd be other speaking, or could you give us more specifics about what your,
I'm just a little bit more public.
okay,
There's going to be two more speakers at least
Okay.
on this,
okay,
following up on me.
okay.
They'll have more specifics on the details.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Please come forward. State your name, address, and spell your last name.
Hi, Plan Commissioners. My name is Paul Holzinger, Holzinger. I live at 704 Mitchell Avenue. I'm also here, I own Holzinger Homes in Altoona. I'm one of the members of a development group locally. I've seen you guys a few different times. I'm also a member of the Home Builders Association, so I'm here in multiple roles tonight. I wanted to point out one of the things that Pat just mentioned was those numbers that he was quoting, just make sure you caught it. An increase of $1,000 prices out 30 or 31 people. That's in Eau Claire area. That's not a state number. That's not a national number. That's directly related to the Eau Claire area. And then, you know, if you have a $5,000 increase, that's 150 people in the Eau Claire area that can't afford a home. So we're talking about housing affordability, and I know it's tough to balance, but I wanted you to understand those statistics and make sure we pointed that out. I'm here to talk a little bit about the tree preservation ordinance that I know ZPAC is starting to work on. There's some information in your handout. I took Creekside development that we recently came through Plan Commission. I went with my daughter's boyfriend out to Creekside. He's a forestry major at the Michigan Tech up in the UP, and we did a tree study. We took some samples. We measured a couple hundred trees out there. We took an aggregate of those different areas, and we figured out what is out there. I learned something. He learned something. But I wanted to point out some of the stuff that we learned there and how that relates to the new proposed tree ordinance that you're starting to think about. There's 58 acres in Creekside. 32 acres of it was forested before we started any logging operations out there. There's approximately 6,063 trees in that whole area. Roughly 19.5% of it was over 12-inch diameter at breast height. And that 12-inch diameter at breast height is a key component to what you're considering with your tree ordinance. That leaves us with about 1,187 trees with a 12-inch DBH or greater in that Creekside development. So it's a real-world scenario. Of the trees that were over 12-inch diameter, the average diameter of those was 16.3 inches, average DBH. So that's an important number because that's how we calculate how many trees get replaced. So of those 1,187 trees that are over 12-inch DBH, if we calculate that out, we take that times the average DBH of those trees, that means we have to replace 19,000 inches of diameter of tree in that Creekside development. We have to replace it at a 30% rate. So 19,000 times 30%, that means we have to actually put back 5,800 inches of tree. You guys, everybody following me so far? I'm going to bore you with statistics. In that subdivision then, we would have to plant, we would have room to plant about 1,000 trees at a rate of 1 tree per 2,500 square feet. That's kind of how the ordinance is being considered right now. That's across the entire 58 acres. So I haven't taken out building footprints and I haven't taken out roadways. But 2,500 square feet, a tree goes on every 2,500 square feet. We're probably not going to be able to plant that many. So if we are able to plant 1,000 trees at a 3-inch caliper, which is a fairly good sized tree, we still have to replant. Hang on. I have it right here. 1,892 trees. If we're considering a fee that where we can't plant those trees, you take that 1,892 trees times $400 per tree, that's a $756,000 fee. So I wanted to say all that because we did the study, we figured out what's there. Those are real world numbers that would impact this particular development. About half of that development is wooded. So what happens if we have a development that's totally wooded, right? So what I want you to really consider, we agree that tree canopy needs to be there and we want to replant trees, and the Home Builders Association is supportive of that. So what we'd really like to see you focus on is increasing that diameter at breast height, that minimum diameter from 12 inch up to 20 inch, which is what the consultant who's working on the tree preservation ordinance recommended to ZPAC and to ZTAC. I'm also a member of the ZTAC committee that's involved in this. So we've talked about it quite a bit. So increase that back up to 20 inches. Maybe it's not 20, maybe it's 18, maybe it's 17, maybe it's somewhere in there, but that 12-inch diameter minimum is a big deal. Also, we think that the minimum landscaping requirements that are being considered is a really good idea. It's 1 tree per 2,500 square feet of lot area. If you have a quarter-acre lot and you got a building footprint in it, there's likely going to be 3 to 4 trees on an average single-family home. That's a great number. We also know that part of the code is boulevard shade trees, and those will all go in. So gone would be the days when there's new homes and there's no trees being planted, and that still adds cost. But we understand there's a cost with cutting down trees too. So let's go ahead and put those in there and be supportive of that piece of it, but let's not penalize so severely on taking forested trees out. We're adding a big fee. There's a few other things in that packet. You can read it. It's on page 2 that has a lot of these statistics in it. I think that was everything. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have for me regarding this or anything that Pat might have brought up. If I can answer anything, I will.
Questions for Mr. Holzinger? Seeing none, thank you, sir.
Thanks for your time.
It might be helpful too okay, so you think everything that you've said is kind of captured in
A
here?
lot of that's in
Okay.
there. I just wanted to say it too, because I know it's hard to follow and I'm rattling off numbers, but
Okay.
yeah, a lot of it's there.
Okay.
And
Okay.
if anybody has any questions, email, phone call too, I'll be happy to chat through it. I know it's not an easy solution too, but I think there's one that we can come up with that'll be good for the environment, the city, and then also reduce fees. That's what we're after.
Okay, thank you for your
Thank you.
comments. Anyone else that would like to speak tonight during the open public comment period, please come forward. State your name, address, spell your last name.
All right, I'm Christina Thrun, Thrun. I'm the Executive Officer for the Chippewa Valley Home Builders Association and live at 2832 Fifth Street. And I'm also here tonight to talk about the zoning code items. One of our speakers that was hoping to be here tonight was not able to. Mary, she put together a letter that was distributed to you guys that covers kind of the multifamily perspective, and that's also outlined in the packet as well. And I know a lot of these topics are things that you guys are going to be talking with Ned and the city staff about to get more feedback and input. And our role tonight is to try to help address some of our perspective and help do some education pieces on where we're coming from as these discussions are starting to happen as we get closer and closer to that finalized plan. At the last ZPAC meeting, there were 2 major topics of discussion that we were concerned about that could have a big impact on future development: the garage frontage and the anti-monotony standards. And those are two of the big items. And based on the feedback I've received from our developers and builders in the area, the combination of those 2 items could potentially remove twin homes from the Eau Claire market, which we know that twin homes are one of the most popular homes being built right now. There's a lot of permits being distributed for twin homes in the Eau Claire area, and the numbers on that are actually in your packets as well. And it is still the most affordable new housing type for an individually owned property with traditional financing. We know not everybody wants twin homes, but it's still a very popular, affordable option and really important to the Eau Claire market. At the last meeting, there was some garage standards presented that looked at the narrow lots, and we had been more supportive of looking at those narrow lots and where those garage frontages would be. But the discussion started looking at some of the wider lots and what does that look like. It started getting into, we were starting to look into that more with the twin homes. And it could be difficult for single-family homes, but twin homes really are one of the biggest concerns with this, because a lot of the twin home market that's out there is 1-story twin homes with a 2-car garage, which is the most popular twin home on the market. There are some that are 2-story or have different types of layouts, but that's the most popular. They have a harder time selling the other type of twin homes. And so it's really important that that market is able to be sold in the Eau Claire area. And it's our understanding that, the one-car garage just really isn't feasible. The public is looking for the two-car. When you talk to the builders, you talk to realtors, and what people are looking for, that's what they want. And so when we're talking about restricting garage frontages, then it's going to limit the type of twin homes that we can put on the market. So you limit the number of styles of homes you can put out there. Well, then you have the anti-monotony standards that are saying you need to have this variety in a development, and the two of them then almost conflict in that respect. Because the anti-monotony standards proposed are looking at, 4 different standards within a development of 20 houses, or then there was discussion of bringing that down even further. And so it would make it very restrictive. And when they build twin home developments, what they're doing is they're building based on what makes sense in this area. Like the topography of the land says this. When they're building, when they're looking at maybe those 2-story ones are going to be a lot of times younger families or people with kids, where you're looking at more of the senior market. A lot of times it's going to be looking at one level, right? They're not wanting to do stairs. And so sometimes they'll also group them a little bit because based on where people want to live within a development. The 1-story plan with the 2-car garage is still the most popular plans. And so it can make it more challenging. And when talking with other developers about this, the feedback that we got was, well, if this goes through, we can just build twin homes elsewhere. And that's our big concern, is we don't want to take twin homes out of the city of Eau Claire market. A lot of times the developments are also built in phases, and how is city staff going to be able to manage looking at, like, okay, when we build this development out, who's going to manage and make sure that the different house plans are different at every single lot? That's a lot to do. When you're looking at a plat, you're not necessarily looking at house plans. Are you going to look at house plans as part of that plat? There's a lot of concerns with how that would even be able to be monitored on a bigger scale as well. So what we're recommending is that instead of requiring a variation in home styles as written, we'd rather see it looking at more cosmetics. So siding colors, garages, accents, trims, porches, whatever it might be, looking at the variety more on the cosmetic side that doesn't have as much of a major impact in terms of having to force certain types of design standards. And then when we look at the garages, looking at setting a certain amount that they can only be set back a certain amount. We actually, in those packets, there's actually a rendering of a twin home that's in this year's Parade of Homes. It's a little bit wider twin home. You can see the garage is in front. So looking at, like, it is a front garage, but it's not that much in front of where, the front of the house is, and the entry is recessed. So that's a very common style. And you've got in the current code as it's written, it's asking for a garage and a window, and you can actually see what that looks like in that type of a lot. And those are the most popular type of twin homes. And so we're looking at, like, can you make variables with the way that looks with being able to allow the garage frontages so that we can have the 2-car garages and have the space, and just limit how far ahead that garage can be with that. So those are the types of things that we're asking for. We will be at the ZPAC meeting in May, and we're happy to answer more questions. I know if you guys have questions, you're happy to reach out to the Home Builders Association or go through Ned if you want clarification on anything. I know he'll be talking about some of these topics with you guys as well, but we just urge you to take some of these things that we're talking about tonight into consideration as you move forward through the zoning code phase here in the next month and a half as well.
Questions for Ms. Thrun? Seeing none, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Anyone else that would like to speak during our open public comment period? Please come forward if you'd like to speak. Seeing none. I do want to acknowledge that we did receive an email from Mary Prosnick with some comments regarding the zoning code. And again, those will be discussed at the ZPAC meeting and with staff. So I will close the public comment period, and we will move on to agenda item 4. This item is our consent agenda. Tonight, this item is for approval of the March 17th, 2025 Plan Commission minutes. I do have a modification that I would like to propose. I believe in the discussion of the Creekside development at the last meeting, because I think I made the motion, or it was an amendment, to have a sidewalk required on Evergreen Terrace on the south side. Are there any other comments regarding the minutes as presented? If not, I'll accept a motion. Commissioner Davis. We have a motion seconded by Commissioner Erickson. Any further discussion? I will call the roll to approve our March minutes. Commissioner Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Erickson.
Aye.
Commissioner Holzman.
Aye.
Commissioner Leonard.
Aye.
Commissioner Zoig.
Aye.
And Commissioner Helgeson votes aye. That motion passes. 6 ayes, 0 against. We will proceed to our regular agenda, starting with item number 5. This item is a public hearing for a conditional use permit and a public site plan on Fairview Drive. And our presenter is Mr. Noel.
Okay, evening, Plan Commissioners. This before you is in a P Public District, so it also goes to the City Council. You'll be approving just a conditional use permit. The council actually approves the site plan. You will recommend for the site plan in that regard. So the proposal here is by Verizon Wireless, Randmaker and Associates applicants. This is the subject site, the stars, the general location in the corner, the southwest corner of the county land. This is the County Expo Center. There's the grounds. You can see how it's tucked back further away from the public. Accessed off of those different drives. This is a site photo that shows what's going on in that corner. They would change out a little bit of the road configuration in the corner. There's some storage of old logs and stuff in the corner as well. Be cleaned up. Here's the site plan that shows that corner with the tri-leg tower and the compound around it, fenced in with barbed wire. You can see the access. There's an easement that locates all the way from Lorch all the way down through the site that brings fiber optics and all the utility power into the facility with the access drive to service it. Here's a little bit of a blow up of the site with electrical, the service panels, room for additional co-location. That's in the dash sites in the northern section of the compound, which is a requirement of code to co-locate additional antenna in the future, which they've met. Some screening with some different vegetation around the actual fencing. Again, the other two sides are going to be screened more by the county land, county forest, the county Lowe's County Park. This is the tower. It just meets code at 199 feet tall. 200 is the maximum for these towers. It shows at the very top the Verizon antennae, and then 2 other locations for future, again, meeting code. Just as the staff report, I'll mention that a little bit. There was a lot of great exhibits that the applicant provided in your packet. We don't have all of those there, but goes through of how the tower would actually collapse on itself because they don't have enough setbacks around the site to be able to fall. So they've proven how that would actually, through an engineer letter, would collapse on itself within the compound. Again, it's structurally rated for to resist different loading factors, whether it's wind or snow and such. But so they've submitted that. They've submitted the need for the actual coverage, that this area has some spot zones and some poor reliability for service and for public responders. Going through the zoning code, through the conditional use permit, they've went through all of that. I mentioned the co-location. The FAA has also done a determination that it has no threat to the air navigation in the area, which is important and meets the frequency and emission testing of the wireless facility. In terms of just looking off-site with the other possible towers, we found that the nearest tower is actually at the news station WQOW, which is well over a half mile away. So they've met that test in terms of looking for other locations to co-locate. Again, screening will be provided with the landscaping. We can go over any of the conditions if you have questions of them, but generally we have found that they have met all the conditions through the documentation that they've provided. We have a few recommendations of approval, just that they meet local building permits, federal permits, all the lighting. They did show some cut sheets of some lighting, but they do mention some floodlights. Those just have to be screened at the 90-degree or below for fixtures, and that is all we have. Any questions of the Plan Commission?
Questions for Mr. Noel? Commissioner Zoig?
Do you know how tall the screening plants are? Is it trees? Is it just bushes? What is?
Yeah, the applicant can share more.
Any other questions for Mr. Noel? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Noel.
Okay.
Is the applicant or representative here? Thank you, sir. Please come forward. State your name, address, spell your last name, please.
Chad Morgan, Morgan. Use 855 Community Drive, Sauk City, 53913. Sorry, 53583. So did a very good job of giving the high level of what the plan is for this facility. We originally had the tower up in the northeast corner of the Expo Center grounds. We did find some discrepancies with kind of property boundaries. So with that, determination, we did find it a better fit to tuck it back in the southwest corner. It's kind of out of the sight of everybody and just kind of tucks back in there. So there are better spot for it all in all, I feel. The question came up regarding the shrubbery that is we're proposing to surround the tower. We are planning to use arborvitaes to go around the fenced-in compound. So the arborvitaes will grow to be 6-7 feet tall to fully surround the fence to make sure that it's not visible for the ground equipment. The light that is in the compound that was referenced is just basically a technician light. It is a censored light, so it would not be on at all times. It would only come on when somebody's in there, and then it would trigger back off when it's not being used. So that's a couple of the things that were discussed, before coming up here. Not sure if there are any other questions of what we're looking to do. We are, kind of real quick, for the power to the compound, we are working with the local utility company to utilize one of the existing transformers on the property to draw off of, instead of pulling a new service off of the public right-of-way. This will help minimize disruption to the current parking lot that's there. And they're designing that on the behalf of the tower company. So I'm just looking to minimize, the disruption through that existing parking lot as well.
Questions for Mr. Morgan? Commissioner Erickson?
Mr. Morgan, will the tower require to be is it required the tower be lighted?
The tower will not be lit. Being under 200 feet is not required for lighting. And the determination of no hazard shows that the FAA also does not require it for any particular reason.
Thank you.
Any further questions? I have a question for staff. I know of at least one other location in Eau Claire where the arborvitae was planted and died. Is there any type of guarantee that's put in for conditions for something like this, so that to make sure the applicant, if the arborvitae dies, it's replaced? Or otherwise, it doesn't do a lot for aesthetics to see a bunch of dead arborvitae out there.
Yeah, you could add that to the conditional use permit.
Okay. Should we specify a time limit? Like,
If it dies,
yeah, or,
you could just say that screening is always required.
okay,
For the
and
condition
perpetuity?
to allow use.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Does that sound agreeable, Mr. Morgan?
Yeah, I believe so. I don't know if there'd be any way to kind of put in there as well, just like if it were to die, that it'd be, vertical bridge to be notified so they can come out and replace it as necessary.
Okay. Any further questions for Mr. Morgan? Seeing none, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
This is a public hearing. If you are here to speak to this item, please approach the podium, state your name and address, and spell your last name before you begin. Anybody that would like to speak on the wireless communication tower. Please come forward. Seeing none, we will close the public hearing and open it up for a motion here on the commission. Commissioner Leonard.
I move to approve the conditional use permit and to recommend the approval of the site plan.
Is there a second? Commissioner Holzman, second. Do I add an amendment now with the, so I would like to propose an amendment to make sure, ensure that the vegetation is always healthy and green. Is there a second to my amendment? Commissioner Davis? Okay. So we will vote on the amendment first. Okay, okay. So we have the motion to recommend approval to the council with staff conditions and with the additional vegetation condition that we have added here. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I will call the roll. Commissioner Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Erickson.
Aye.
Commissioner Holzman.
Aye.
Commissioner Leonard.
Aye.
Commissioner Zoig.
Aye.
And Commissioner Helgeson votes aye, 6 ayes, 0 nays. That motion passes to recommend approval. We will move on to item number 6, which is also a public hearing for recommendation to the council. A rezoning from TR-1A to C3. This is across from Paws and Claws and Old Town Hall Road, or east of the Fleet Farm store. Mr. Baumgartner will be our presenter.
Good evening, Commissioners. First off, I'd like to apologize for the fact that I will be presenting the next 6 items tonight, so you'll get to hear me talk quite a bit. So yes, this one is for a proposed rezoning. As you said, it is to the east of Fleet Farm, and it's across Old Town Hall Road from Paws and Claws. So here's the notification map, kind of showing the areas that were notified. It's really comes down to 2 properties in the city limits were notified, though earlier there was a representative of, or there was someone from the town that happened to be living nearby that did come out and spoke with the applicant briefly. So we only noticed within city limits, but the word did get around appropriately. So here's an aerial photo of the property, just kind of noting that it is fairly barren. That's as of, I believe it was April of 22 for the aerial photo. So it's been vacant for quite a while. It has had some amount of earthwork done on it, it appears. Now, regarding the zoning, so it is currently zoned as temporary non-sewered residential, TR1A. It's been zoned as such since 2017 was annexed in. The applicant is proposing to go to C3. It's blanket C3, so that is, there's no general development plan, so there's no asking for any changes in the bundle of rights. They could do anything that's allowed in the district if approved. So they gave us a concept layout of warehousing complex that could go to a restaurant like a Taco Bell after the approval tonight. So it could literally be anything allowed in the district there. So going to straight C3 zoning, there are 2 things we look at. It's the dimensional standards. Does it meet the requirements to be a C3 zone property? And it does. There's not really much in the way as far as setback requirements or things like that. For C3, especially with it being vacant lot, that's something to be visited at the site plan level. The other thing is it has to be in alignment with some of the standards from section 18.65, and there's a whole list of them. One of the standards proposed in that is that it has to meet the comprehensive plan or align with it. Looking at the future land use map from the comprehensive plan, which I apologize for the fact it wasn't in the staff report that was sent out, is that the comprehensive plan does guide that area as being commercial. So it does align with that aspect of the comprehensive plan. And finally, here is the layout I mentioned previously. So this is the concept they've presented, and if it's approved for the rezoning, they will be coming back in the future for an actual site plan approval until there's some things that need to be worked on a little bit, and the parking goes out into the right of way for the street, amongst other things. So that is just a light concept, and staff doesn't have any recommended conditions for it. It's just a straight zoning. And I will stand for any questions.
Questions for Mr. Baumgartner? Seeing none, thank you. Is the applicant here tonight? Please come forward. State your name, address, and spell your last name.
Brian Bessinger, Bessinger, 6798 Talmadge Road.
Thank you. What would you like to add?
Not much. Just a blanket C3 is what we're seeking here, to give us some options for doing a warehouse up there.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Bessinger? Seeing none, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is there any, this item is a public hearing. If you are here to speak to this item, please approach the podium and state your name and address, spell your last name. Anyone else that would like to speak on the rezoning for this property, please come forward. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and entertain a motion from the commission.
I'll motion to approve the zoning change.
We have a motion for approval and a second by Commissioner Erickson. Any further discussion on the commission on this recommendation to rezone? Seeing none, I will call the vote. Commissioner Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Erickson.
Aye.
Commissioner Holzman.
Aye.
Commissioner Leonard.
Aye.
Commissioner Zoig.
Aye.
Commissioner Helgeson votes aye. This motion passes 6-0. We will now move on to item number 7, which begins a series of public discussions. Number 7 being an annexation on Highway 53. Mr. Baumgartner.
Yes. Hello again, Commissioners, once again. So this is the first of 4 annexations we have for tonight, all located within the town of Washington, all around the same area. As you can see, it's the one that's way in the southeast corner of the map. It's about at the bottom. So here's what that's where it is. So right now it's right next to the county shops. It's the little farmstead that's there. There is a property that's not coming in this time. It's owned by the county. You can kind of see it right in the southeast side of the property. So this annexation was done. It is being proposed unanimously. It is, all the property owners did agree to it, and the DOA did go and give us a recommendation that it is for the public benefit to go and bring it in. So the property is proposed to be annexed in as the C3 district. That differs from the previous thing, because it used to be temporary zonings. We moved away from that practice. So it is proposed to come in as straight C3 zoning with the proposed use of a residential / kind of mixed-use commercial thing in the future. Let's see, anything else note on that one? Not really. Here's just another map kind of showing the existing boundaries of the town of Washington and how it relates to the city of Eau Claire. You can see that little white wedge there that is owned by the county as part of their complex for the shop. That's just kind of, hanging out there. And there's not much else. I guess we'd be looking for a recommendation of approval potentially, or the applicant would be. And that's it. It does meet the bulk standards to be C3, which again, there's not really much in the way to that until they actually develop.
Questions for Mr. Baumgartner? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Baumgartner. Is the applicant here tonight? Apparently not. This item is a public discussion, and the open public comment period for this item during agenda item 3 has expired. This is now a discussion amongst the commissioners. The chair would entertain a motion for this item. Commissioner Leonard.
I move to recommend the approval of annexation.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Zweig. We have a motion on the floor for approval of the annexation into C3. Any further discussion? I will call the vote. Commissioner Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Erickson.
Aye.
Commissioner Holzman.
Aye.
Commissioner Leonard.
Aye.
Commissioner Zoig.
Aye.
And Commissioner Helgeson votes aye. This motion passes 6-0. We move on to item number 8. Again, a public discussion, another annexation, this one on Old Town Hall Road. And Mr. Baumgartner.
Thank you, Chair Helgeson. I'd like to clarify this is a public hearing, not a public discussion.
Oh,
As,
oh,
yes,
it-
all annexations are public hearings, not,
oh, they were listed as public discussions on the
Oh.
agenda.
oh, were they?
Yeah, your minutes have it different here.
Oh. I
Should
just-
it be a public hearing?
It should be, that's
Oh,
my
oh.
understanding.
Oh,
That we should have, yes. I guess
Okay.
if, I'm not sure if we want to open that up for that
Okay.
briefly, or
okay.
guess not, should they be?
I'm just looking at how
Yeah.
the agenda.
Well, I'll pull the room, because I've not done an annexation before in the state of Wisconsin myself, so this is a new process for me.
Yeah, it should be a public hearing.
Okay,
Okay.
all of these annexations?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for clarifying that.
Yep, thank you for bearing with me. We will go and. Okay. Well, technical difficulties. Yeah, so I guess I would recommend that you revote on the last item, I guess noting that it is a public hearing and people are able to come forward and,
Well, let me read my language to invite anybody
Yes.
that would like to speak. This item is a public hearing. If you're here to speak to this item, please approach the podium and state your name and address and spell your last name before you begin your comment. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. So this is applying to agenda item 7, which is now a public hearing. Anybody that would like to speak, please come forward. Seeing none, we will close the public hearing portion, and we'll accept a motion for approval from,
I move to
Commissioner-
recommend approval of the annexation.
I'll second.
and we have Commissioners Leonard and Zoig recommending approval and seconding. Any further discussion by the commission? Seeing none, we will take another vote. Commissioner Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Erickson.
Aye.
Commissioner Holzman.
Aye.
Commissioner Leonard.
Aye.
Commissioner Zoig.
Aye.
And Commissioner Helgeson votes aye. Again, that passes 6-0. And now we move down to item number 8, which is a public hearing for an annexation, or public hearing for an annexation on Old Town Hall Road. Mr. Baumgartner.
thank you, Chair Helgenson. That's, how we've got that slight snafu cleared up. We can continue on with the next annexation, which is on Old Town Hall Road. So this one is just to the west of the proposed Paragon Apartments. I've been before this body before. And so it's approximately 32 or so, 32.4 acres. It's also proposed as coming in as the C3 zoning district. This one was also a fully unanimous amongst the property owners annexation, so all of them did approve, one of them. The DOA did give this one their blessing, and they said that it is within the public interest to annex it in. And this one is also proposed as being kind of a mixed-use residential use. It's proposed as being C3 because that is what the comprehensive plan guides it as. And, you know, in the future, depending if the proposed zoning ordinance amendments are passed, that will have different, might allow for residential there. Anyway, so that's all there is to it. It's another residential in the town of Washington. Yeah.
Any questions for Mr. Baumgartner? Seeing none, thank you, sir. Is the applicant here tonight for item number 8? Seeing nobody here, the chair would entertain a motion from the commission. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. It's a public hearing. Okay, thank you. This item is a public hearing. If you are here to speak to this item, please approach the podium and state your name and address and spell your last name before you begin your comment. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Anybody that would like to speak on agenda item 8, the annexation on Old Town Hall Road, please come forward. Seeing none, we will end the public hearing, and now we will entertain a motion from the commission. Commissioner Holzman
I move to approve.
and
Second.
Commissioner Erickson. Any further discussion on the annexation? Seeing none, I will call the roll. Commissioner Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Erickson.
Aye.
Commissioner Holzman.
Aye.
Commissioner Leonard.
Aye.
Commissioner Zoig.
Aye.
And Commissioner Helgeson votes aye. This motion also passes 6-0. We move on to agenda item 9, a public hearing for another annexation, also on Old Town Hall Road.
Yes, we did just get some clarification on the public hearing process, that is, if it is a unanimous annexation, all the owners agree, I guess we don't actually have to have a public hearing on it.
Okay.
That is, I don't think we,
One second. Your first one, you actually made a motion in the
Yes.
discussion, so you're good there. So it's the same people that did it, so you're good there. And then this last one, yeah, discussion,
Okay,
and then going forward. Annexation law is complicated in Wisconsin, so.
Okay.
We just looked at.
so
it.
I have to announce that it's a public discussion,
Yeah,
even though nobody gave any testimony, or,
right.
okay,
Yeah.
okay,
And that's how it's actually
okay.
listed in our agenda.
Okay. So
So
you'll
we're-
tell
we're
us,
good.
you'll tell us which ones are public
Yeah.
discussions and which ones
all
are.
of them were unanimous amongst the owners, so none of them, I guess, actually have to
Okay.
be.
Okay,
The agenda's correct, my slides are not.
okay.
And I'm grateful for this learning opportunity. So,
Okay.
this
Uh,
is,
Okay, so we're going to go back to number 8, correct?
I don't,
Your first annexation, you did it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
number
so the
7.
next one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The number 8 is the one on Old Town Hall Road, which we went back, I started as a public discussion, but you corrected me and said
Yes.
public hearing. So I'm going to go back to the public discussion, agenda item 8, which is a public discussion for an annexation on Old Town Hall Road. I believe we've already heard the presentation, or do we?
Yes, and just, Chair, you also already did the public discussion in the
Yeah.
very beginning of the
Yeah,
meeting, so you're covered.
okay, okay. Yeah,
You can vote.
we've got a motion to vote. Okay, let's try it again. Commissioner Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Erickson.
Aye.
Commissioner Holzman.
Aye.
Commissioner Leonard.
Aye.
Commissioner Zoig.
Aye.
Commissioner Helgeson votes aye, 6-0. That motion passes. We move on to number 9, which also is a public discussion for an annexation on Old Town Hall Road.
right. Thank you, Chair Helgeson. It's a real sense of deja vu right now. But, so this one, yep, is another property in Old Town Hall Road. This one does differ from the other ones, just that it's not a vacant property. It is I don't have an aerial on the screen, but it does have an existing warehouse in this situation. The applicant has applied, well, it's proposed to go to C3 as part of it, so the applicant has applied for that. This was another annexation that was done unanimously by the owner, and it was one that the DOA has given its blessing that it is within the public interest to annex this property. And this annexation does include, I guess, both the warehouse and that portion of Craft Road. That's on there, you can't quite see, it's underneath the blue area, you can actually see it better on the next slide, or the next annexation. So this one does meet the standards of C3, there's not really much else to that, it's an annexation.
Questions for Mr. Baumgartner? Seeing none, thank you, sir. Is the applicant here tonight? Seeing nobody representing the applicant, I will read language. This item is a public discussion, and the open public comment period for this item during agenda item 3 has expired. This is now a discussion amongst the commissioners. Is there a motion on this item of annexation on Old Town Hall Road?
I move to recommend the approval of an annexation.
Commissioner Leonard, is there a second?
Or I move to approve.
Commissioner Erickson seconds the motion. Any further discussion on this annexation? Any further discussion? Your mic is on there, Commissioner. Are you done? Okay, thank you. I will call the vote. Commissioner Davis?
Aye.
Commissioner Erickson?
Aye.
Commissioner Holzman?
Aye.
Commissioner Leonard?
Aye.
Commissioner Zoig?
Abstain.
And Commissioner Helgeson. This motion passes 5-0. We move on to item number 10, which is a public discussion for another annexation. I believe it's on the adjacent property on Old Town Hall Road. Mr. Baumgartner.
Yes, it's a long time no see. So yes, this is yet another annexation from the town of Washington to the city of Eau Claire. It is on Old Town Hall Road. It was done unanimously by the owner. It's the same owner as the previous property. This one is a residential duplex that the owner is currently living in. It is proposed to actually see the road there on this one, like I promised. It's this one is proposed to come in as R3. That is the best choice for this district property use in this case because it is the smallest district possible that allows for the smallest lot area possible for the proposed or the existing duplex. So it's that's it. The applicants, if they were here, they'd be looking for a recommendation of approval to the city council of the annexation.
Questions for Mr. Baumgartner? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Baumgartner. I'm assuming the applicant, is the applicant here? No, okay, thank you. Then we'll turn it over to the Plan Commission for a motion for, as Mr. Baumgartner said, this will be annexed in as R3. Is there a motion? Commissioner Erickson. Motion's approval. Commissioner Leonard seconds it. Any further discussion on the annexation to R3? I'll call the roll. Commissioner Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Erickson.
Aye.
Commissioner Holzman.
Aye.
Commissioner Leonard.
Aye.
Commissioner Zoig.
Aye.
And Commissioner Helgeson votes aye. This motion passes 6-0. And we move on to item number 11, which is a public discussion for a site plan on Music Road. Mr. Baumgartner.
Good evening once again, commissioners. So as Chair Helgeson just introduced, this property is up on Music Road. This is in the southeast corner of the Country Jam development along the area they left on the east side of what's now Music Road for commercial development. So here you can see it, and this is an aerial photo with the floodplain kind of overlaid on it, so it does go through part of one of the properties, and we'll get into that in a little bit. Ultimately, because the property owner has gone, and my understanding is they've pursued getting a LOMA, so it's a letter of map amendment, to remove a portion of the property based off the natural conditions, so that where they're building the structure won't actually be in the floodplain. And they're also pursuing a LOMAR F, that's letter of map removal based off fill for the rest of the property. So they're both things that are in the process on it. As you can see, these are the southern 3 lots in that area. This is a relatively newer aerial photo, still the April of 22 aerial. Is it 23? One of the two. So here's the existing conditions on the property. So it's there's some structures on what would be lot 4 of the existing development, and the rest of it is just kind of open land. You can tell that there's actually it is called out on there for the 100-year floodplain, but beyond that, those are existing conditions, including existing portion of Music Road. Going over this, so the development itself is for 2 flex space kind of warehousing units. Each one is proposed to be 4 tenant spaces across both properties. A CSM will be needed. A couple things to note on this site plan is that with the landscaping for street trees along County Highway T it's bumped back quite a ways from the normal right-of-way. That is due to the proposed adjustment of the right-of-way counting for the growth of County Highway T. So it's actually proposed to be in the proposed right-of-way in the future, but right now it's backed up a good 50, 60 plus feet from the existing right-of-way. Other things to note on this is that there are no pedestrian connections being shown. That's something the applicant will have to provide as in the future site plan for the actual approval. The dumpster enclosures are noted on there. There are no further details in the packet that will also need to be shown. The site circulation-wise, it's the proposed ingress to the property is through the center driveway. It would go around each side and then come back down, exiting on the two extremes, north and south. Phasing-wise for the project, it is proposed right now that the first phase, which would be to the south, would just encompass that building. The second one would be done at a later date. The applicant is proposing that it actually goes, they start dirt work on it relatively soon and should have the first one done the next year or two. This is the utility plan for the property. That's just for reference. I don't have much comment on the utilities myself. And here's another one for utilities. This one's also covering the, I can't actually read that from here. But yeah, it's another one for reference. So there's 8 different conditions that were noted in the actual letter for recommended approval. One condition that was noted was that the updated building facade broken up and consistent with the general design theme of the Country Jam development. So this was the facade that was submitted. The applicant has actually reacted to this condition and requested that we present the following tonight. First is that in the response that after reviewing the elevation, they've revised it, the wall finish to break up the wall area as proposed for that condition. They attached a couple drawings showing additional metal transition along the length. They're proposing to add 2 canopies over the main entry doors, and they provided kind of a breakdown of what the 2 materials they're proposing to use are. That's on the next page. Also, they are proposing to go and have the colors match the existing High Country facility, which I have a picture coming up on that. First, here are the 2 materials they're proposing. One is the style wall, flat wall system, so it's a much broader kind of flat metal material versus the shadow wall system, which is closer in appearance to your typical corrugated metal siding. This is from a site visited previously. So that's the existing color scheme, so that would be done in a color scheme akin to that. And this is the updated facade that was provided. So with having a chance to actually go and react to it, is what we'd be looking for on this condition in particular is that would the Plan Commission consider what I've shown to actually be adequate for meeting that condition, that the facade be broken up and that it kind of run in concurrence with the facade design of the rest of the Country Jam site. If so, the condition would probably need to be modified to say that it needs to be done that way. They need to submit a final site plan or facade elevation actually detailing things like the canopy, because that's actually, the canopies are not shown on the facade on the screen. Otherwise, you could potentially go and strike that condition. That's up to you.
So that's condition number 8, an updated building facade that is broken up and consistent with the general design theme of the Country Jam development?
That is correct. And so with the outside of the building finished with, here is the inside. And so you can see the 4 tenant bays and the general makeup for each side of it, consisting of an office space, meeting space, bathrooms, and difference between the 2 sides is just, well, beyond the actual areas, is the one has a second office space. It's pretty self-explanatory in that regard.
Does staff have a recommendation?
For the interior, the staff?
No, for number 8.
Oh, staff does not have a recommendation for you on it, actually. This instance, as they have proposed the solution for the commission tonight, I would leave it up to the commission to decide if that's adequate or not. That's no pressure.
Can you just review that, what they've proposed, and does it differ than number 8?
Yes, it does. So I guess I would say that it has gone actually, and it is different from what was proposed initially as shown. It's with the 2 types of siding. It is broken up a bit more. The flat siding on the new proposal is shown in the middle and on the ends versus just being way out on the end. So there's a little bit of a breakup that's being done in the center just with that new material. It would also go and kind of liven up that side, for lack of a better term, just with the entry doors having canopies over them. We we don't have an actual depiction of what those canopies would look like, at least not on hand. Other than that, it's pretty much as it was proposed initially, is with some aesthetic changes on outside, the different materials and how they're located and the canopies.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Baumgartner? Thank you, sir.
Yep.
The applicant like to come forward? State your name, address, spell your last name.
Good evening, Sean Bohan, E5055 Interlochen Boulevard. Bohan is Bohan. Civil engineer on this project. Mr. Baumgartner did a good job of explaining the project. We don't really have any objections to any of the items, the 1 through 8. CSM, just to note, a few of these things have been taken care of and been sent to city staff and stuff already. CSM being one of them. The stormwater that's out there, we do end up having, when Music Road was extended, we end up having some stormwater regional facilities that were installed on the very south end. So we end up having a portion of that taken care of. Each site will end up having small infiltration, but a lot of the stuff has been taken care of. Big thing was the 36-foot drive aisles and entryways that we need, driveways. We need those for our truck turning movements. We ended up doing that, so it's one of the things that we are requesting. Normally it ends up being like a 30 feet unless you end up needing something larger. Again, the floodplains, like Mr. Baumgartner had stated, we've applied for our permits. We got some grading that's going to be happening out there with a LOMA and also a LOMA-RF. So that's being taken care of. And then we do end up having the pedestrian on the new stuff that's going to be coming forward. We'll have those pedestrian paths and stuff like that that actually go out to Music Road rather than, I think they gave us the option of either Music Road or Highway T. And not knowing when the improvements are going to be out there, we didn't want to provide an access to basically kind of nowhere for now. So we are going to be providing access to Music Road on that. And we'll be having those changes sent back to staff and stuff for their approval within about the next week or so. And with that, I'm open to any questions.
Questions for Mr. Bohan? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Bohan.
Thank you.
Again, this is a public discussion, and the open public comment period for this item during agenda item 3 has expired. This is now a discussion amongst the commissioners. Chair would entertain a motion on this item. I'd like to point out there were the eight conditions that were requested by the staff. Commissioner Davis.
I'd like to make a motion to approve with conditions.
We have a motion to approve with the 8 conditions. Commissioner
second.
Zoig, second. Any further discussion from the commission? Seeing none, I will call the vote. Commissioner Wirth, were you going to vote on this? Or okay. Commissioner Davis?
Aye.
Commissioner Erickson?
Aye.
Commissioner Holzman?
Aye.
Commissioner Leonard?
Aye.
Commissioner Worthman?
Aye.
Commissioner Zoig?
Aye.
And Commissioner Helgeson votes aye. This motion passes 7-0. And we move on to item number 12, which is another public discussion for a site plan for a self-storage facility on Lausanne Avenue. Mr. Noel.
Okay, you get me again, so a little break from Peter. Tag team show. This is a project by Menards. This is the second phase of a mini warehouse development. You see the first phase on the left with the red roofs. The second phase is to the right of the private drive that enters into the development site. There's also public roads, the Alpine Road and Lausanne Avenue to access the site. The site's been cleared several years ago. There's a stormwater facility. This is the existing topography with some of the storage piles that you can see how those actually respond to the elevation. The site with the trees that are remaining. They propose to keep a band of trees on the south side along the public road for screening purposes. This is the layout of the site with the stormwater pond and sort of the different mini storage type arrangements, a lot of variety there for customers in terms of the square footage of the unit sizes. It's a little hard to read, but that's basically what it's saying in terms of the square footage that would be for lease. There's an entrance, just real quick, this is what it looks like from the private drive side as you enter off of Losan there. And there's a gatehouse, and then it's misleading, but the roof is red, and that will obviously be pitched. So it looks like just a monolithic type wall, but it's actually pitched there. Going back to the site grading, the proposed grading, you can see how the drainage would flow to the stormwater pond. Engineering does have a condition to make sure that those exhibits are submitted to verify that that pond's big enough to hold that runoff, because there's a decent amount of impervious surface there. There is no requirement for the impervious surface for the industrial zoning, but again, we want to make sure that that pond is adequate to serve both sites. So that's a condition of approval. Here's conditions. Again, the engineering department, verification of the drainage, calcs, and erosion control, sediment control, drainage plan. Any outdoor lighting shall meet the ordinance. And then if trees are removed along Alpine Row, we have a condition in there that they replant with a 30-foot on-center spacing standard, which is typical. Again, we don't have tree preservation requirements yet, but if they do remove it, they said that they would keep it. But if they do remove it, we have that condition there as a backup. Any questions of staff?
Questions for Mr. Noel? Seeing none, thank you, sir.
Okay.
Is the applicant here tonight? Please come forward. State your name, address, and spell your last name.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the Planning Commission. My name is Pat Wewell, W-E-W-E-L. I am a real estate rep for Menard Inc., 5101 Menard Drive. As Mr. Noel said, I'm here requesting site plan approval for an expansion of the Menard self-storage facility located at 3400 Losan Ave. We're looking to add an additional 379 units. As shown up there, they range from about a 10 by 10 unit up to a 12 by 40 unit in size. But we have a lot of variety, 10 by 20s, 10 by 15s, 12 by 10s, quite a bit of variety through the site. All of these would be non-climate controlled mini warehouse units. Across the private drive, we do have some climate control, but all of these would be just simply non-climate controlled units. The new expansion would be constructed with the same materials as the facility that we currently operate across the private drive, and we would be operating in the same manner and with the same staff and team that we currently operate the facility at this location. The existing topography, as Mr. Noel said, provides some coverage, and the tree line along Alpine already exists. We do intend to maintain that tree coverage along Alpine Drive to maintain the screening requirements. And then, again, it's similar to the facility across the road where you would enter the gated area. There is a private gate that tenants would be able to use to get through there. You would be required to have a PIN code that you would get once you finish your tenant applicant process that would allow you to get through that gate. With that said, I would be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Questions for Mr. Wewell? Commissioner Worthman.
Yeah, Mr. Wewell, could you speak to the lighting expectation? How does that work?
Yeah, so this is going to be similar to what we have across the street. We would have wall packs on the fronts of certain buildings, obviously between each aisle. But yes, they all will point down into the facility. We wouldn't have any light leakage. It's pretty standard across all of our
There's
facilities
none of
that we
the
have.
higher up?
Nope, we're not going to have any poles or anything like that. All of them would be attached to the front face of each building.
And then, just for my clarity, the tree buffer that exists to the easterly side of the property, that will mostly remain, it looks like, from the drawing?
Yeah, a lot of those trees, I believe, are actually off-site.
Okay. Because that's an important buffer, obviously, for folks who are living next door to this, so. Thanks for answering that question.
Yep.
Any further questions for the applicant? Seeing none, thank you, sir.
Thank you all.
This item is a public discussion, and the open public comment period for this item during agenda item 3 has expired. This is now a discussion amongst the commissioners. I would entertain a motion on this item. Commissioner Zoig,
I'll make a motion to approve with staff conditions.
is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Worthman? Any further discussion on the approval of the site plan for the self-storage facility? Seeing none, I will call the vote. Commissioner Davis?
Abstain.
Commissioner Erickson?
Aye.
Commissioner Holzman?
Aye.
Commissioner Leonard?
Aye.
Commissioner Worthman?
Aye.
Commissioner Zoig?
Aye.
And Commissioner Helgeson votes aye. This motion passes 6-0. And we move on to item number 13, a public discussion on the National Planning Conference takeaways.
All right. Commission, you have in your packet the memo of, I was fortunate to be able to attend and actually speak with Council President Emily Berge and our consultant Jackie Berg to talk about what we're doing with the zoning code project. And it was really well attended. There was over 550 people curious about how we worked with the neighborhoods to try to build more buy-in, our public engagement process, and our zoning testing of missing middle and how it actually can fit into smaller lots. And so it was a great session. And some of the sessions that I attended besides ours was sort of related to that theme. The one that I highlight first is Dan Parolek, who is the kind of the guru who's termed missing middle housing. He's an architect and planner, I think in California, but he's from Nebraska. Has done a lot of work in the space about how to look at gentle density and missing middle for households that are smaller than your traditional family. And a lot of it is just basically like showing what it looks like rather than talking arbitrarily about the zoning and density requirements. So he reaffirmed with what we're trying to do is to test the assumptions, what we did with 1 units all the way up to 4 units for infill projects, make sure that the zoning setbacks and all that makes sense, to remove arbitrary density caps, because people, even planners, don't really fully know what that actually looks like on the ground. And so if you're interested, I actually got a good kind of story map, GIS resource that I can send your way to show you kind of what zoning looks like on the ground by pictures and aerial photography. So I bought a book related to that for this session. So that was useful in terms of that we're headed down the right path in terms of our zoning code reforms, in terms of what nationally planners are talking about and how to make sure that it's more compatible and sensitive to built-up areas that already exist. And then some other topics, I won't go through all of them, but the business-friendly was really a good one in terms of what the private sector wants to see, in terms of what we present from not only our zoning code, but also kind of just like process. And so some great ideas about us for our planning division to internalize and think about how we can actually be more clear with developers about, who is the point of contact for a project, and make sure our processes are clear that really don't reside in code. So one of the things that you'll see later is a land development ordinance manual, and that will be adopted by resolution, and that will kind of share more best practices and expectations that we want to see as staff, so that when we get projects in, we can actually then right away start to review it, not actually have to do a back and forth with the applicant to say, hey, please submit your site plan elevations for your buildings, and various things that kind of trickle in sometimes because we're not as clear in terms of our expectations. So that was a useful one. And then I think too, All Fair in Love and Housing was a cautionary tale from Pittsburgh planners, where they started to do some zoning code reforms for folks with disabilities, and the messaging was caught wrong by the general public, and so they ended up having to shelve just what they thought was a basic zoning code update for folks with disabilities to not treat them unfairly with housing. And so they put the brakes on that to diffuse some kind of the uncertainties around it, and they'll recycle back to that later. But other than that, they might keep going. zoning, can your zoning hack it? So that was an interesting sort of session and roundtables where we took some zoning assumptions and tried to like make sure that it would actually allow missing middles to be able to be built with those. And the codes that we initially applied were basically didn't allow anything except for like an ADU to fit on that lot. And then with the zoning code reforms, how we could actually open up more housing supply. So that was a good exercise that we dealt with there. And then another one that I want to call out is Plan Baby Plan Supercharge Your Local Housing Coalition. So that I linked there. There's an accelerator playbook by our AARP and other National Association of Realtors to, again, put forward more housing solutions. And one of the big ones is zoning code reforms to allow more housing by right, reduce the lot sizes, setbacks, reduce parking requirements. Costs that you don't actually have itemized by the builders. They itemize a lot of the other costs tonight for you, but it would be interesting to see what kind of cost savings that they would get from land, smaller lots, parking reductions. We know about $7,000 per parking surface stall is reduced, and juxtapose those cost savings with some of those cost increases that they're letting you know about and see where that kind of comes out. We're also in the new code talking about right-of-way, reducing that to reduce some of the costs for road width and utilities as well. So that might be an interesting extra data point that would help you. So I'll reach out to them on that if you're interested in that. Yeah.
I like that. So you're going to ask for them to do a little bit of.
If that's what you're interested in, I think that would be a good comparison to see how that actually plays out. Because you're hearing one side of it with costs, which are valid, but then what about cost savings and what that might actually look like? We typically ballpark about $600 per linear road width, and if we shorten the width of that road in terms of the curb to curb face down to maybe 40 feet, maybe that's the minimum. What could that actually present in terms of cost savings for the developer? For excavation and all that kind of additional stuff. So if you're interested in that, I can reach out and see if they actually would present that.
You've also got savings that are harder to quantify in a dollars sense, and that is, it's going to be a simpler process. A development by right, where before you had to go through a conditional use permit, let's say, and those are difficult to quantify because we don't know how much. I'm sure there are some estimates on what it costs a developer to go through a certain process, but every process is different in every community. So you can't necessarily compare community A to community B where they don't have similar zoning ordinances or their process for development approval is not similar. But I think we're substantially reducing some of that time that they have to spend on the application and approval process. So I think we need to have them take that into account also.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think the more the objective standards, that helps everybody like you and the council to know, okay, this is what we require if we're going to pass over plan commission review on a site plan. If we're going to pass over, a conditional use permit review because we have these standards in place that we feel good about. And maybe they add costs, maybe they don't, but that actually speeds up that process instead of an extra month delay because a conditional use permit's required before you actually submit the building permit. So typically what we see is that zoning code reforms, the empirical evidence that it's pretty scant, but it's not raising the cost of housing too much in terms of like the cost savings. It's usually like a 2% cost savings. So, and again, every local jurisdiction is different with their value system, but you're gonna save some costs, but there's also gonna be some costs that come in with it as well. So there's not a lot of evidence out there, and a lot of researchers kind of want to know this question is like, what does it actually look like after cities pass these reforms? So I think for us, it's the biggest thought is how can we add more choices to the zoning. So that's substantiated by the conference, and that's that's about it. Some of the other ones weren't as exciting type presentation or sessions, but any other thoughts or comments about the National Planning Conference? It was really fun. It was invigorating as a professional to network with what folks are doing around the nation and hearing just little insights about housing or zoning codes that can help us here in Eau Claire.
Any comments for Mr. Noel? Great. Yeah, if you could share that, especially the information that'll help us with ZPAC, I think would be, if you can, from what you learned here, that might give us some insight.
I can use that, or
Okay.
We're having small group meetings. I think
Yes.
a couple of you have already attended those, and so we can talk about these topics there too.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. We will forego item number 14 and move to item number 15, which is future agenda items and announcements. Commissioner Worthman?
Yeah, I just have an announcement. This probably will be my last meeting on the Planning Commission. I served for the last 2 years with, I think, most of you, not the full 2 years, but I did not put my name in again to be the council representative. Tomorrow, we have our organization meeting where we choose which council members will serve. As I understand, I think only one person put their name in, so there's a chance.
Tough bunch.
That's at least the word on the street from Stephanie. So there's a chance I am back here, but I wanted to give way. My main intent was helping, kind of thinking about the zoning code update, and I also want to give way to other council members who want to have the opportunity to serve. So you probably won't see me back here, but you may. But either way, it's been an awesome group of folks, and gotten to know you all a little better, and just really appreciate all the service and work that we do together. So you'll see me around still a lot, but I may not be sitting in this seat anymore. So
Thank you. We will acknowledge your service if you are no longer with us, but if you're back with us, that's good too. Thank you. Okay. Any other future agenda items and announcements from staff?
The next meeting is May 19th for the Plan Commission. The one in between, early at the beginning of the month, is the taking over for the next ZPAC meeting.
May 5th for ZPAC.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. We are adjourned. This was from the Home Builders Association. Okay.